So, what if I told you that the biggest expenses in your business aren't showing up on any invoice or balance sheet? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden costs that are buried in your daily operations. We're going to explore how the way you work, the process itself, directly hits your bottom line.
Let's just start with a really simple question. Think about it for a second. How much does it really cost to serve just one customer? From that very first interaction all the way to the final delivery. It sounds like it should be a straightforward number, right? But as you're about to see, the answer is often way more complex. And figuring it out is absolutely critical to understanding how profitable you really are.
And you know why that number is so hard to pin down? It's because these costs aren't neat little line items on a spreadsheet. No, they're buried. They're hidden deep inside your business processes. You know, in the handoffs between teams, those unexpected delays, and all the rework that just seems to happen every single day. So, to find these hidden expenses, we need to zoom in on this idea called the cost to serve. This is all about looking past the obvious stuff like the cost of materials or sales commissions and really examining the operational engine of your business. To put it simply, the cost to serve is the grand total of every single action it takes to get your product or service into a customer's hands. I mean, everything. Every email that's sent, every signature that's required, every piece of data that's entered, it all has a cost. This right here is the true price of putting your process into motion. Okay, but how in the world do you measure costs that are hidden? Well, you can't fix what you can't see. So we need a tool. Something that can pry open that black box of our operations and make our workflows totally visible. And here's a really critical insight, maybe the most important one of all. The biggest costs, they aren't in the tasks themselves. They're hiding in the gaps between the tasks. Think about the time a request just sits in an inbox, waiting, or the friction you get from a clumsy handoff between departments. That's the white space on the flowchart where inefficiency lives and breathes. You know, there's this famous case study from IBM that just nails this point. They looked at their credit approval process and found out it took, get this, 7 days from start to finish. But the actual work time, just 90 minutes. The rest of that week was just lost in handoffs and waiting. The problem wasn't the people, not at all. It was the messy structure of the process itself. And this is exactly where Business Process Management, or BPM, comes in. I want you to think of it like an MRI for your company. It gives you this incredibly detailed map of your workflows, revealing every single step, every decision, and every handoff. It basically makes the invisible visible. So let's take a simple order-to-cash process, for instance. By mapping it out step by step, from the moment you confirm the order all the way through shipping, payment, and finally archiving it, we create this crystal clear picture of how work is actually flowing through the organization. Not how we think it flows, but how it really does. Okay, so once we have this map, we can finally start our diagnosis. This is where we go on the hunt. We start looking for the sources of all that inefficiency and cost, what the process experts just call waste. And it turns out most of this waste falls into 3 main buckets. These are the big culprits that inflate your cost to serve: move, hold, and overdue. Let's break each one down. First up is move. This is all the waste that's generated by transportation and handoffs. I mean, every single time work gets passed from one person or one system to another, you're opening the door for delays, for miscommunication, and of course, for more cost. It's basically friction in your operational engine. The second category is hold. This one is pretty simple. It's the waste of waiting. Just picture a stack of applications sitting on a desk, or a bunch of purchase orders piling up in someone's inbox. Anytime work isn't actively being processed, it's costing you. It's tying up capital and causing delays. And the last but not least, we have overdue. Now, this is all about doing more work than is actually necessary. It includes the obvious stuff like fixing mistakes, that's rework. But it's also about overprocessing. You know, things like performing extra checks or approval steps that don't add any real value for the customer. So identifying these types of waste is one thing, and that's great. But the real power, that comes when you can actually quantify them. We can put a precise dollar, or in this case, euro, figure, on the cost of any process you have. And the formula is, believe it or not, beautifully simple. For every single step in your process, you just multiply the time it takes someone to do it by their hourly cost. You add all those up, and bang, you've got your total process cost. Let's look at this in action with a credit application. You can see how we break it down. The clerk's time checking the form, that's $8.25. Checking the credit history, another $12.50. Then the officer spends an hour assessing it. That's $50. When we add it all up, the total cost to serve for this one application is $95.75. All of a sudden, those hidden costs aren't so hidden anymore, are they? Now look, understanding your costs is a massive first step. Huge. But the ultimate goal isn't just to be cheaper, it's to be better. It's about making that shift from just managing costs to actually delivering real value and achieving true process excellence. And this brings us to a really important distinction, the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. See, efficiency is about doing things right, doing them cheaply and quickly. But effectiveness, that's about doing the right things. It's about taking actions that actually achieve your goal and make the customer happy. To really win, you need both. This is where something called business process improvement, or BPI, comes into the picture. It's the now what? It's the systematic way of taking all these insights you've gathered and using them to actively redesign your processes. Maybe you automate a manual step, get rid of a redundant check, or combine two roles to eliminate a handoff. Because at the end of the day, this is about so much more than a simple cost-cutting exercise. The real power of digging into your processes is that it empowers your whole organization to compete on a totally new level by delivering better quality, more speed, and amazing service. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have the tools to look inside your own operations and find these hidden costs, what's the very first process you're going to put under the microscope?